Hey, Mr. Harris, how are you? It's good to speak to you. No, we haven't seen each other in a while, so I'm just glad to reach out with good news. The good news is actually that I just joined the New York City Teaching Fellows, and am a part of Cohort 40 and will be working this summer to become a full-time teacher in the DOE starting September. So, I'm really sorry I couldn't make it out to you today. I'm still doing my pre-surface training in courses right now and also skill building sessions. So, I don't have the spare time to come out and meet everybody, but and see you in person. But I'm really happy to just share this news with you and also let you know that um, you know, being a part of the programs that you implemented and set up in some of the shelter systems around the city for me at least, really helped instill my passion for education, and that passion has led me on the path that I am today. So, yeah, maybe I'll talk a bit about myself. Again, my name is Donald Pooler. Everybody, I'm 32 years old. Well, 33 year old. So my birthday just passed in May. Um, for as far back as I can remember, my family has been in and out of the shelter system. The earliest I can remember is probably about 6 or 7. Um, we were in VOA, Volunteers of America, uh, set up in West Harlem around 103rd, roughly 104th Street. But from there, me and my family just kind of have bounced around from shelter to shelter, kind of, made a career out of it. But and even well into my adulthood. So I think the last time my family was in a shelter was in 2017, which is less than 10 years ago. I'm 33 now. So well into my 20s, my family was still having an unstable housing situation. I've been to PATH, EAU, Longwood residences, Help One residence, Starbright residence in Brooklyn. My mom has separately been in shelters, domestic violence shelters, that I wasn't even in. So, um, at some point in my 20s, I decided to like live on my own and do like a roommate kind of thing. So that's pretty much my history as far as the shelter system goes. Uh, Something with unstable housing just being something that has progressed well into my adulthood. Well, I'm not sure if most people talk about that or know about it as much. Um, yeah, so I also have an extensive, and me and Harris were kind of talking about this. I also have an extensive school history. I've been to, for elementary school, I went to elementary school, all public school systems, or NYC, DOE. But I first started at a public school in the Bronx, and then, because of the shelter, moved to a public school in Harlem, where I would, see out most of my education in Manhattan public schools. I went to the school called PS 171. It was great, Patrick Henry. Some very like formative experiences I had there. For high school, I went to Life Science Secondary School. I'm not sure if it's called Life Science Secondary School anymore, um, but it's up on 96 between second and first. And then for high school was the big kicker for me because I went to 4 high schools in 6 years. So started high school in 2006, 2007 at on George Washington campus at a school called Business and Finance. Um, I did my freshman and sophomore year there, but then I got a safety transfer. It was just like a lot of it's like a bad culture of school, just like a lot of politics and stuff. I wasn't directly involved in, but for students of color, it was very tough to go to school there. From And that was my first high school. From there, I went to an alternative school when I was 16, and the whole thing behind it was that I wasn't really old enough for alternative school, didn't need alternative school, but it would be the fastest way to get me out of high school, out of the environment that I was just like not thriving in at that point. And so, I went to alternative school, um, did well there, but then got into a fight, and uh they just had a strict policy, one fight policy, you out to school. Like didn't really matter what my grades were. which were good, but those just were the rules. So, my second high school and 2, 3 years, my mom and I decided that, maybe I should try an out-of-state school. So I went to school out of state, um, in Maryland, Bowie, Maryland. So I still with my aunt in Maryland. Went to Bowie High, in PG County, Prince George County. There I found out that uh, my path for graduation was much harder than it would have been had I stayed in New York. I would have to retake all of my high school assessments and evaluations. In a city in New York, the equivalent to that is your regents. And I had already passed mine. So I decided that, like, I don't want to like retake 5 standardized tests. I'll go back to the city and I will get my diploma there. Once I got back to the city, I went to this school called Pulse. From 2011 to 2013, I stood there, finished up the rest of my credits, and got my high school diploma. Um, so I'm like 2 years late behind, 2013. Most of my friends who were like on grade level graduated in 2011. But, school was just something that I knew that I had to finish. And that path pretty much, well, that mindset pretty much took me to or through college. So I went to LaGuardia, following LaGuardia Community College, following the post high school. Then I went to Lehman College where I got my bachelor's in English Lit, and now I'm currently at Toro University getting my master's in science for teaching students with disabilities. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just like thinking about the full circle moment and thinking about what was important for me and like what really kept me on track and what motivated me and what kind of people and what kind of things uh, made it so that I could still thrive within all of these circumstances. And a lot of that is just the kind of people that I was put in touch with throughout these tough times. The first one that was really pivotal for me was Mr. Harris because he offered this program on Saturdays. And he talked about the importance of it being on Saturdays, meaning that it was completely optional. Most people don't want to wake up on Saturdays and go to a school prep program. So, my family, my mom worked, my dad was always in and out the household. So my mom thought it would be a good idea, and me and my brother weren't against it. And then we joined the program. It was really it was called SIMBA in a set. It was based out the DOE on Hoyt. We went down there for the first time. We did a lot of classes out of New York City Metro Tech, and it was just like really, really uh helpful for me to know that, we had built this community of kids just like me, and instead of our main priority, like being housing, or having to think about that, like our main priority was just like focus on how we were going to advance, what our education was. We went to a bunch of college tours, right? Um, the first time I had ever been on a campus, but it made going to college like a real thing for me, something that was tangible, not just um, made for certain people. We had these programs, Safe in My Brother's Arms is what SIMBA stood for. We had programs where we did like team building. We did uh, education programs. We did stuff from hobbies. Like we did like a barber shop, one of our instructors like worked in a barbershop and he was like a business owner. So all of this was like really instructive, but also showing us how people just like us could take it further and not make it out in a sense, but like become successful in their own way. Um, yeah, so I just really think about the importance of programs like these, and how programs like these, if implemented in the Department of Education, which is something, me and Mr. Harris spoke about briefly, it's really important because, I had to find out through this resource through a wall posted with flyers in a shelter. You know, it's not ideal, if my mom hadn't checked the flyers, if my dad hadn't like glanced over it, this a huge chunk of my life wouldn't be what it was. So it's like, how do we, it makes me think about how we can get these programs uh into places that are more accessible to children who need them. And I just really want to stress the importance of I just really want to stress how important that was for me and how like life changing it was, seriously, and how, instilling those things in children early is what like creates the value of those things. So um I really, really think that these programs are not just important but dire, you know. Um in my role now, uh becoming a teacher felt like something that like made so much sense to me. I think that being a kid who has seen the DOE system, the school system, in state as well as out state from so many different like vantage points, right? Like, sometimes I'm benefiting and sometimes I'm not, but I get to see how others are, and I get to see um, going to four different high schools. I know what like a more successful high school looks like compared to the three other ones I went to, or like putting the DOE school system into perspective after going to school in Maryland and seeing that certain uh grade level curriculum wasn't on par with what the city had. So it was like I really think I use all of that, and I think it's just like very useful experience that most people just don't get. You kind of have to go out there and experience it, get your feet dirty and your hands dirty, and you know, uh, get the experience yourself. And all of that is so valuable to then what I'm able to bring into the classroom. So I really think about how I'm pairing my experience with now like instruction, but also like culture building. It's a big thing in teaching in public schools, but Black male teachers teaching in public schools, and it's like, what kind of culture do I want to set? And I think that what was very important and very pivotal for me and most students that went to SIMBA and most students that were in a set is like seeing someone successful that looks like you, and knowing that they've also been through the same kind of things you've been through, and like, how did you deal with that? How did you move forward? How did you, persevere? So I really am like appreciative of that experience, and in hindsight, like I understand how important it is, but in the moment we may not. So the people who do need to like really hammer that into our children, but also give them the opportunity. And like I really do promise that kids uh that come from these kind of demographics, these kind of backgrounds, have so much more to offer, so much to offer because they their brains are already thinking at a level that most children don't have to, like the levels of creativity and maturation and coping is at a much higher level. There's much more flexibility than most people think, and giving these children, students, parents the opportunity to really bring the best out of their kids is super important.